Okay, so here we go. I've asked you guys to do 2, 3, 5, 11, and 12 for your warm-up. So I'm just going to give you the answers, and then if you guys have questions, we'll go over any ones that you have questions on. All right? Here we go. So using that a little bit more. Ooh, a little too far. So number 2, x could not be equal to a positive or negative 2. 3, be very careful when you divide by negative, your inequality sign flips. So x has to be less than 2. Same thing on number 5, but number 5, x has to be less than or equal to 2. Number 11, I specifically picked this problem because a lot of you guys are still forgetting how to do these. You want to find the 0 for the top, the 0 for the bottom, and then check to see which ones work. So I found my 2 zeros, and then by substituting in values, I found that it did not work for the middle, but it did work for the outsides. And for number 12, same thing, find the zeros, and then check by plugging in values. So 11, x had to be less than negative 3/5 and greater than 1/2. 12, x had to be less than negative 1, greater than 24. Questions? Isaiah?
For number 11, did you just make 2 separate equations with your
Absolutely. Well, not where they're both greater than 0, but you're going to set each of these 2 problems equal to 0. And then what I did is once I found those 2 numbers, so the negative 3/5 came from the denominator, the positive 1/2 came from the numerator, and then I literally just picked values. So I plugged in 0. If I plug in 0 to this equation, I have negative 1 over positive 3. That's negative. It is not greater than 0. Doesn't work. I plugged in positive 1, so that gave me 1 over 8. That was positive. That works. And I plugged in a negative 1. So that gave me negative 3 over negative 2, which is a positive number. That worked. Okay? Remember to Urs? Yay, the day after time change, right? Your favorite day of the year. It's the worst. Should have had a snow day. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Welcome to Northern Virginia. It's either going to snow 2 feet or it's going to be 70 degrees outside. Which one is it? No? Nothing? Cringes from all of you. All right, I've got a couple problems picked out that I want to work on just to kind of give us a good variety. So the next 2 problems that I want you guys to do, I want you to do number 15 and 16, please. Go ahead and do 15 and 16. All right, let's take a look at our answers. For number 15, I think most people probably did that okay, I'm hoping. The one thing I want you guys to check, it doesn't happen here, but always check, because we saw this on the quiz. If there's something that can be simplified from top and bottom, like let's say I can pull out a 3 here, I can't pull out a 3 here. But if I could, you need to make sure that you always simplify your fractions. Okay, one of the questions on the quiz was like that. I had a lot of people who left it not simplified. All right, for number 16, what I want to make sure you guys notice is moving from left to right, we have an open circle here. So how will I mark that if I'm using interval notation? Parenthesis and bracket. Very good. So going from left to right, what number is that? Negative 2. What number is that?
6.
That's 6. If you said 4, it's the same thing I did. Just count carefully. You got to make sure you're not counting up and down. You're counting left to right. Okay, so from negative 2 to positive 6. And it doesn't matter that we've got this dot here or that it turns. That's the domain. Negative 2 to positive 6. Or you can say x is between, where you have a less than sign on the side of the negative 2 and a less than or equal to on the side of the 6. Now, I'm covering up the range for a reason. How low do you go?
2.
2. Are we touching 2? Good job! Oh my gosh, I didn't think you'd get that. But yes, you do touch 2 because even though this is an open circle, the rest of this is actually there. Oh my gosh, you guys just made me so happy. So the range goes from 2 to 4, and because I can draw my vertical line through this, only hitting once, that sucker is a function. Okay? Questions? Most of you guys did really well on that part of the smooshing, there we go. That part of the quiz. Just make sure that if you're doing separate dots, that you write your domain and range out as the location of those dots. I had some people who were giving me continuous, like what we did with this guy right here. But these are not. If you have to pick up your pencil to draw it, you got to pick it up to write these guys down. Okay? All right. The next ones I want you to do, we're going to do some of our compositions. Now, it says, find each of the following and state the domain. That means you have to figure out what is G of F. You have to identify that. And then you have to tell me what the domain is. So I want you guys doing 21, 22, and 24. So I'm trying to give us some of the hardest problems to do. Okay, go for it. Okay, so our answers. Let's look at number 21 first. One thing I want to make sure you guys look out for, the common mistake that I saw on your quizzes was right here. What did I just circle? A negative. Where does that negative come from?
The negative 3.
The negative 3. Anybody want to volunteer that they actually forgot that minus sign? No one? I'm sure probably at least a quarter of you guys did, so you're all a whole bunch of chickens. Talk about Chick-fil-A. All right, and then when we go through and we solve it, the denominator cannot equal 0. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, if I ask you to find the composition and its domain, I want to see what is the composition, what does it give you, what is the domain. Okay? It's not just keep working through till you get the domain done. It's probably about half of you guys in here that did that. Questions on this one? So we got the fraction part. I can't answer a question unless you ask it. All right, 22. Kind of smooshing off the page a bit. Did we make a sign mistake? What'd you do?
No, I just could not figure out how to solve that equation.
You don't have to solve the equation.
I know.
And you're not the only one. I had a lot of folks who would come up to me and go, I can't solve this. It's like, oh, okay, what do you want me to do about it? You're not supposed to solve it. You're only finding the composition. So you find the composition, and when you do that, are there fractions in this? Nope. Are there roots? Nope. Are there logs? Nope. Are there restrictions? Nope. And that's it. Don't freak out about that. Make sure you're careful with your distribution. Again, make sure that you caught that minus sign there from when you distribute this negative. I just keep seeing that over and over and over again. Any questions on that one? Nope. All right, and then 24. Do not tell me that this square root and that squared cancel each other out. They do not. You can only cancel each other out if it's like the full factor gets to go away. Like if this had been x minus 5 inside parentheses squared. So we can't cancel that out. I can't really do anything with that. So that is the composition. We still have the fact that this guy in here has to be greater than or equal to 0. So do you guys understand where the root 5 comes from?
Yes.
Because this doesn't really factor, and when that doesn't factor, your only options are to set it equal to 0. So you add 5, square root, but you have positive and a negative. You forgot that part? The positive and the negative part? See, I'm trying to show you guys problems that you forget.
Will we get points off if we don't put the positive and the negative?
Yes, ma'am, because take a look at what it does to the domain. It's less than the negative value, but it's greater than the positive value. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Okay. So I'm trying to figure out where your biggest mistakes are and try to give you suggestions on how not to make those mistakes again. Okay? I can't stop you on the careless arithmetic stuff, but maybe some of the understanding stuff I can. All right. So the next 3 that I want you to do, I want you to do 31, 32, do 31 and 32. And then I want to do 36 and 30. Oh, look, it goes from 36, 38, 40, and then 31. Okay, so, yep, know how to count. So I'm going to do those last 2 with you guys. Okay, so for 31, take a look. How are we doing on 31?
Good.
You forgot the negative 1? The nice thing about these, yeah, they're kind of tedious. There's a lot of steps to it, but every time you do it, it's going to work out the exact same way. Switch x and y. And then we have the variable I'm solving for in a denominator, so we can't have that. Times both sides by y plus 6. When you do that, it goes away on the right-hand side, and on the left-hand side, you distribute the x, and this is what you get. Then, because we're trying to solve for the y's, you want to make sure all of your y's are on one side of the equation and everything else is on the other. Once you're to that point, factor out the variable, because you only want one of them, and then divide both sides to get the y by itself. Okay? Did you get to the blue?
Yes.
Okay, did you get to the orange?
No, I put things on, like,
If you put it on a different side, you could have also gotten 6x plus 7 over negative x plus 1.
that's what I got.
Then that's perfectly good.
Okay.
Okay, Isaiah?
It doesn't matter if you do like that, like negative 1 or y, negative 1.
Well, it starts with f of x, so you have to finish with f of negative 1. Okay?
Will we get points off if we don't put the f negative 1?
Just assume yes, because it's not right. All right. Any other questions on this one? Thank you for asking questions, finally. Huh? No? Huh? What? All right, 32. Feeling good, Nishwa? Questions? Good? Skied. Skied. Okay. All right, so we've got 2 more problems that I'd like to work through. And we're going to do these 2 together, just to make sure that we're all on the same page with this. We are going to start with problem number 36, which says to use compositions to verify if we have inverses. And I picked this one because we have logs and e's, and it's a great opportunity to see, are we doing this right or not? Oops. All right. Now you get to choose. Do you want to do f of g or g of f? G of f? Okay. It really does not matter. So we had a request for g of f. What should I get at the end if these are inverses?
X.
X. That's it. But don't just say, hey, I want an X at the end, so I'm going to make everything go away. It doesn't work that way. So G says e to some power minus 4 minus 5. And then F was log base 2, running out of room, I didn't make that nearly big enough, x plus 5 minus 4. So what can I do? What's the problem? Tell me what's wrong. Say it again for me. Yes?
That's E, and that one is log base 2.
This is E, this is log base 2. Can I cancel those two out? No! This is wrong on many levels. These guys do not match. What would this need to be in order for them to cancel out?
Log base E. Oh.
And log base E is ln. So had they been ln's, it still wouldn't have worked. Because I would have had a minus 5, I'd say plus 5 minus 4 again, and then minus 5. It still would not have worked. So guess what?
It's not inverses.
It's not inverses. This is a yes or no question. As soon as you realize it doesn't work, you get to stop. What would have happened if I did get an X with G of F?
You have to do F of G.
You would have to do F of G. As soon as you realize that there is nothing you can do about that, or it's not going to get down to a nice and pretty X at the end, stop. Okay? So is that one as crazy as it looked from the beginning?
Yeah.
All right, the very last problem I want to do is probably what your absolute favorite type of problem was on that last unit, right? Everybody loved these? Half-life! Yes! So because I am so awesome at counting, but I'm just going to assume that that was a typo, we're going to do 31, which is supposed to be 41. 31, which should have been 41. Okay, so I have no idea what OS stands for. What is that?
Osmium.
Osmium? Is she making that up, or is that really a thing? Osteoporosis. I don't think it was an element, but okay. Sure. So OS 182 has a half-life of 21.5 hours. I'm trying to stress this word right here. Hours. Because it can be in whatever unit it needs to be, but if we're starting with hours, we have to go through everything in terms of hours. Okay? So I'm going to set up this problem. So when we're doing half-life problems, we are using what equation? It's kind of A equals PERT, but instead of a P, we do A sub 0, and you're right, no, you said something correct, and instead of RT, it's KT. Okay? Now, I don't know until I get down to here. Down here it says that I'm starting with 25 grams, but that's not going to help me solve for what I need. I can only have one variable in my equation at a time. So I first need to figure out what K is. What do I do to solve for K?
You set 1/2 equals 1.
Good. 1/2 equals E to the K times 21.5. Beautiful. Whoops, write that correctly. 21.5. Because if I were to do a ratio of no matter what amount I started with to what I finish off, half-life means I should have half of it in the end. The amount of time it takes me to get to a half is 21.5 hours. Okay, how do I solve these? ln it. Because when I ln, I got ln of 1/2 equals what? 21.5k, or k times 21.5. And so what is k? Beautiful, thank you. ln of 1/2 divided by 21.5. So that's k. Now, the rest of this says write an equation that represents the model as a function of time if you start with 25 grams. This doesn't mean you're going to get an answer in the end. You're not going to have like t equals 13.4. All we're doing is writing the equation. So, I have k. Boop. What else do I have? The starting amount. So what is the starting amount?
25 grams.
25 grams. So A equals 25 times e to the ln of 1/2 over 21.5 times t. That's it. Done without a calculator, because guess what? Test is calculator off. So this is all you'll be able to do. That was one big sigh there. I don't know if that was a good sigh or a bad sigh. There is no good sigh? Oh no, there are good sighs. Taking a bite of that yummy, yummy brownie. Delicious. Cold glass of lemonade on a hot day. Okay, good sighs typically are about food. Or sitting down after standing up for a really long time. Not impressed, Susan? Thank you for putting your glasses back on. Yay! All right, so there's a review. Guess what your homework is? The rest of it. Wow, you guys are such awesome thinkers. Yay!
Are you taking a homework from last week?
Apparently not. I should probably go over any questions that you guys had from that, though. What was your homework? The worksheet? Ayo. Inverse of functions. Did it start with 5x plus 6? Or was it x plus 1?
X plus 1.
X plus 1. I had 2 worksheets. I didn't know which one I gave you. All right. So the answers to your homework. Here are the first problems. Yes, no, yes, 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 no, no, no. Obviously, you really should show work on this, but these are just answers. All I've got on this are answers for you, and if you have questions, I'll answer them. We'll go through them. Let me do answers first, and then we'll go questions. It's like Jeopardy. I give you the answers, then you give me the questions. What is... All right, and then looking down at the bottom, for some of y'all's inverses. So 10 was negative 2x over 1 minus x. You could have said 2x over x minus 1. 11 is 1 minus 8x over x minus 3. You could have done 8x minus 1 over negative x plus 3. 12 was e to the x plus 5 all over 4. 13, the hardest one on the page, x equals 5. Because when you switch x and y, that's all you get. 14, I ended up with log base 4 of 3 to the x plus 4. But if you do ln on everything, it's the natural log of 3x plus 4 divided by the natural log of 4. See, look, it's just the change of base formula. 15, ladies and gentlemen, you do not need to FOIL that out. If you, I left it at x minus 2 squared minus 5 over 6. If you had FOILed it out, it would have been x squared minus 2x minus 1 over 6.
Minus 4.
X squared minus 4x, what did I say? Did I say 2? Minus 4x minus 1 over 6. Okay. 16 was either 3 minus 5x over x plus 8, or 5x minus 3 over negative x minus 8. 17 was just the cube root, but please make sure the cube root goes all the way down here. Make sure that's nice and clear that we came all the way down so that the 4 is in here also. It's the cube root of x plus 7 over 4. And 16 is x cubed plus 5 over 2. Okay. I had one question for number 1. Okay. So now I'm going to go through your questions. Let me use up my paper. So the first question was on number 1. Number 1 said, f of x was x plus 1 over 2x minus 4. G of x was 1 plus 4x over 2x minus 1. So, Jordan, this was your question. Which way do you want to go first, f of g or g of f? F of g, okay? Now I'm just going to do one of them because the other one works out the same way. But you do need to show both if the answer is yes. So f of g, I would start off with f, plug in g, 1 plus 4x over 2x minus 1. Okay? Then what would we do at this stage? Multiply by 2x minus 1. Good, because those are the common denominators. When I do that, this is going to cancel out, and I will have 1 plus 4x. So we did that one. Now I do this one, plus 2x minus 1. Now when I go here, this is going to cancel out, but I still have the 2 in front. So when I distribute the 2, I will have 2 plus 8x, and now I'm going to distribute to this, minus 8x plus 4. All right, so that means I have, so these cancel out, so I will have 6x over, these cancel out, and I have 6, which gives me x. Okay?
Can you multiply the 2 first?
You could, absolutely. But if you multiply the 2 first, you would only multiply it to the numerator.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesse, what was your question?
Number 14.
Number 14 is a good problem. Girlfriend, I got problems. And I'm going to show my work on all of them. Ba-dum-bump. Okay, how do we find an inverse?
Switch x and y and solve for y.
Switch x and y and solve for y. So now I have x equals log base 3 of 4 to the y minus 4. Now, there are several different ways that you can get rid of this. The first thing that you need to realize is if I want to get rid of the log base 3, what do I have to do to both sides? Put a little 3. This is 3 to that power now. So far, so good? That's going to drop all of that away. So I will have 3 to the x is 4 to the y minus 4. The next step shouldn't be bad. You just subtract, add the 4. So 3x plus 4 equals 4y. Now, from this stage, you actually have a couple of options. You can either just take the natural log of both sides so that you can bring the y down, Or I see a 4, base 4. So if I want to cancel out a base 4, I can also just do log base 4. So that'll make that all cancel out and leave me with y equals log base 4 of 3x plus 4. If we had done it the other way, if I had taken the ln of both sides, the y would have come down in front for this one. And then to get the y by itself, what would you need to do? Divide by ln 4. Which is actually exactly what you get when you do change of base. ln of the big divided by ln of the little. Good question. I can do 15, but that's going to have to be the last one because we need to get started on new material. So number 15 said f of x was 2 plus root 6x plus 5. So the first step is to do what?
Switch x and y.
Switch x and y. And then what are you going to do?
Solve for y.
How?
Square.
Nope. Can't do that until this is by itself.
2.
You have to start by subtracting the 2. Because you can't square it until it is by itself. Now that it's by itself, I can square both sides. So that's why that cancels out, leaving me with 6y plus 5. This side will be x squared minus 4x plus 4. Then you're just going to get everything together. So I'm going to subtract 5. So x squared minus 4x minus 1 all over 6. Okay? Alrighty. So you guys know what your homework is? To finish that worksheet. And what we are doing next is really 100% review. Absolutely, positively, 100% review.
Why am I not implementing the sequences? Do you one or
If it works for the first one, you have to do the second one to find the inverses or to see if they are. If it, as soon as it does not work, you can stop. Okay? All right, you remember these guys? Oh, yes, you have. It was on the Algebra 2 SOLs even. And we're not raising it to any level of difficulty that you haven't already seen before. It's all still the same stuff.
I don't remember this.
Well, hopefully we will jostle your memories just a little bit. All right. Arithmetic sequences and series are all about finding patterns that come from adding or subtracting over and over and over and over again. Always the same number being added or subtracted. That's what makes it arithmetic. There are all sorts of sequences and series. This is the most basic one. Okay? So we're focusing today just on the arithmetic sequences. Now I like to think about it like TV. If Netflix drops a series, what does that mean? I'm sorry? Well, not drops. I guess it's like when Netflix releases a series. Sorry, I'm like music drops. You know, like boom. That was probably not the best way of saying it. So when a series is released, what can you watch? Everything, all of them together. If you're looking at the Harry Potter series, that's the collection of all 7 books. Okay? The sequence is the order in which they occur. First, second, third, fourth. The sequence is the individual terms. So when we're talking about a sequence, we have a formula that finds a specific term. So a sub n means to find some nth term, whatever that one is, the fourth, the fifth, whatever. To find the nth term, you take the first term, add the difference. That's what we're either adding over and over again, so it would be a plus, or subtracting over and over again, then it would be a minus. Then times n minus 1. But I want to point out to you guys right from the beginning that no matter what this number is here, that is this number here. No matter which term they give you, that is this number here. Always. We just usually write it with the first term because that's where we start. We start at 1, but you're not always given the first term, so you might not always want to use 1. So it's very important. These numbers match, those number match. Okay? All right. So we're going to use that equation. We're going to make it work for these guys. So first what I want you to do is let's make sure it's an arithmetic sequence. What am I doing to 4 to get 8? What are you doing to 8 to get 12? Yes, you could have times by 2, but 8 times 2 is not 12.
Yeah,
No, I know, it's a good thing to bring out. So from 12 to 16, are we always adding the same number? Now technically, I could keep adding 4 until I got to the 10th term. But we want to make sure you understand this step. So what we're going to say is we're going to write the equation. So to find any term, take the first term. What is the first term? 4. And what are we doing over and over again? You're adding 4 times n minus 1.
Is it n minus 1 or 10 minus 1?
N, because this is just the equation. Because it says write the equation. A general equation is what will work for everything. Now you really should simplify this to a sub n is 4n. Because when I distribute this, this will be 4n minus 4 plus 4 minus 4 cancel each other out. So any term, this is my equation, simplified form of that equation. Now, if I want to find a sub 10, that means the 10th term, what am I going to do?
4 times 10.
Yeah, 4 times 10. And what is your 10th term?
40.
So what I want from you for this is the equation. The equation must be simplified. So get rid of the parentheses. Then find the term. I want you all to do that for me on number 2, please. Apparently Vivian is hungry.
Yeah, I'm ready. How'd you hear that?
I have crazy bat ears.
Sorry.
raise your hand if you're done with this problem. Okay, it's just a little bit longer. All right, let's take a look at what you should have gotten. Woulda, shoulda, coulda. There you go. It doesn't matter to me one way or the other if you do 34 minus 8n or negative 8n plus 34. That's okay. How are we doing with this? Is this ringing any bells yet? Ding-a-ling-a-ling. Some people going, oh, wait, we have done this before. You don't remember using the... Okay, I'm not going to ask you who your teacher was, so let's just keep going. Oh, yes, you never use an equation, Vivian. I was your teacher. You sure did. All right? So for this problem, we're given different information. So go ahead and write down what information you're given, and then we'll work it out. Bless you. Now, just in case you have forgotten, the formula that we're using here is the nth term is equal to the first term plus the difference times n minus 1. So what goes here? Heard it. 74. Yeah, not a trick question. A sub 1, 2, plus 3 times n minus 1. There are a lot of different ways that you can solve this. Somebody tell me what you want to do first. Distribute. Okay. So 74 equals, this is going to give me 3n minus 3. So that'll be 3n, what? Minus 1. Then what do? Add 1. Divide by 3. What is n? 25. See, isn't that nice? It doesn't get harder than that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to throw a natural log into this, or a rational expression with variables in the numerator and the denominator. See, was that a good size Susan? Okay, there we go. Isaiah. Yes. Now, the great thing with this equation, it does everything for me. Because even though I'm given much different information here, I can still use that same exact equation. It says we're looking for the first term, the common difference, and the formula for the nth term. Woo! I'm still going to be using that. A sub n is a sub 1 plus d times n minus 1. But again, I want you to remember, this and this match, this and this match. So if you're not given the first term, it's okay. So I'm given the 5th and 12th terms. It does not matter. Which number would you like to put here? The 5th or the 12th term? If you want 5, raise your hand. 12, raise your hand. 5, 1. Okay, so I'm actually going to, when I do this, I do all of these steps. So I'm going to say the 5th term is the 12th term plus the difference times n minus 1. Nope, sorry. N was 5, and that's 12. Okay? I do that specifically so I know what number goes here. 5 minus 12. See, as long as this and this match, you don't need to worry. Now, the 5th term was 24. The 12th term was 3. Plus the difference times, what is 5 minus 12?
7.
Negative 7. So then we just solve. How do I solve this?
Subtract and divide by 7.
Subtract 3 and divide by negative 7, and what's the difference?
3. Negative 3.
Negative 3. That means we're subtracting 3 each time. So I found the difference. What else do I need to find?
A1.
A1. Which is a really good steak sauce. So I'm going to go back to that idea that A sub n is A sub 1 plus D times n minus 1. It really does not matter. Pick a term for this guy. Do you want to do 5 or 12? 5th or 12th? 5th, is that what you're saying? 12th, okay. So I use 12 this time. So the 12th term is the first term plus the difference times 12 minus 1. What was the 12th term?
3.
What was the difference?
Negative 3.
And 12 minus 1? So I just solve. What is negative 3 times 11?
Negative 33.
Okay, so how are you going to solve this?
Add 33.
Add 33, so the first term is going to be 36. Awesome. We have the difference. We have the first term. Can we write the equation? Yeah, because the equation says any nth term is the first term, which is
36.
36. The difference, so that's minus 3 times n minus 1. And when we simplify that, that's going to be minus 3n plus 3. So I'm going to have 39 minus 3n, or negative 3n plus 39. Okay. How do I want to do this? You want to do one more? Okay. So we're going to stop here so that next class we can do this as a warm-up. Kind of make sure we remember what we did. Your homework is to complete that review sheet. I will work out and post solutions and answers to SLMS. All I'm going to do next class is answer questions for about 10, 15 minutes maybe. Then you'll take your quiz. Not quiz, test. It's not going to be a very long test. This was a short unit. Then we're going to finish this lesson. Ben?
So is this going to be on the test?
This is not on the test. But by doing it this way, I was allowed to give you guys some review today. Whereas a lot of the other classes will not be reviewing. They will go from one lesson to the test. All right, any questions? Questions? Alrighty.